Welcome to Chad Brings Snacks, the show where I talk to my funny friends, and I brought snacks. Hart Shouldice, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is exciting. I'm very happy to have you in the show. We're doing my show tonight in Brockville, so we're like killing two birds by doing a podcast first. First, how often do you get compared to me in the looks department in comedy?
Pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Both like people like actually saying, hey, you look like Chad, or people will talk to me thinking that I'm you.
Yeah, George Silly at the you weren't at the Oak Craps roast,
No.
right? George Silly at the Oak Craps roast. His roast about us was I thought Chad Udo was Hart Shouldice for the first 5 months he was into comedy. It's like, yeah, that's a good roast. But I feel like we're like similar even comedically. Maybe that's like a perk, I don't know. But like in the sense of like we're both like kind of safe, you know what I mean? Like we're cleaner.
Yeah.
You're probably like a little cleaner than me. The beard, the dad.
Similar
Yeah.
for both dads. Like there's the cultural overlap as well. But I always say when people say that, I always say that's horribly offensive to one of us. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, I'm not offended by it.
No, nor am I.
I think you're a great comic. Very funny. A pescatarian, which I just learned.
This is true.
Have you always, when did this come about?
So, I mean, the only reason I told you that is because this is a snack. I'm not seeing any snacks.
They're going to come. Don't worry. They're going to blow your mind.
So I don't say it unless it's relevant, but I became a vegetarian when I was an undergrad, which was like 20-ish years ago, and then started eating a little bit of fish, I don't know. At some point along the way, started eating fish.
Right.
So, so vegetarian. I eat fish, and my kids have always been vegetarian. They're 10, I have 10-year-old twins. They're now saying they would maybe want to start eating a little bit of meat, so we might bring some into the household.
Yeah, just good stuff like McDonald's and
so just keep it just like grows on the trees. Yeah, exactly. Pluck that pogo right off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love pogos. Food is like my total. I love food.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do a food theme podcast, just like eat junk all the time. Like, what's your like go-to snack? Like, what's like Hart's craving a snack? What's he eating?
Probably like I'm pretty simple with food. Like, despite the fact that I'm vegetarian, like I'm not a foodie at all. So like my go-to snack, like give me some like salt and pepper chips dipped in Greek yogurt, and that'll.
Oh wow, that's pretty out there, I think.
Delightful. And then if I want something sweet, I'm going for little half baked Ben and Jerry's.
Okay, you're an ice cream guy.
Yeah.
I'm just like milkshakes. Milkshakes are like my absolute jam.
Okay,
like a full on.
Any particular are you
like I like Oreo?
Okay,
like Oreo milkshake. That is like that's peak ice cream for me.
What about? Are you a Blizzard guy at all?
I do love Blizzards.
Okay.
Yeah. What I don't want is like like hard ice cream, like non-soft, like in a cone. Like I never crave that in my life. I want like chocolate bars jammed in ice cream like Blizzards.
Well, it's also like going out an ice cream cone for a gentleman with facial hair. That's tricky. That's a tough look. Yeah,
it's an absolute nightmare. Yeah, a lot of soup. Another one. Soup is really bad. There's so many things I want to ask you, mainly sports related. You're like a big Ottawa Senators guy. You were like kind of becoming a little bit of like the fan that radio stations go to a little bit.
Yeah, the CBC. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I mean, I've always been a big sports fan. Like that was when I was a kid. That was my like obsession with sports and hockey in particular. I was super into it. It's like it's waned a bit over the years. Like now, I'm not like compared to guys our age who are. Like grown ass men, who are like hardcore to sports. I'm like not. I'm not one of the elites, but I've always been a passionate Senators fan, and I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Ottawa guy. Like I, grew up in Ottawa. I care about the city of Ottawa, like Ottawa culture, whatever that is. I'm pretty into and like to support the hometown. So like a couple of years ago, sort of CBC started asking me to come on to talk about the Senators from a fan's perspective.
Yeah,
it's been like. A lot of darkness over the past couple of years.
A few years. Yeah.
But it's fun. It's cool. I mean, again, like, I've got young kids, and my son especially is 10 and is
loves hockey.
Pretty into the Senators.
Okay.
So it's been fun. I mean, I'm setting him up for a lifetime of misery and disappointment,
but sadly, like he's all in on the set.
Big time.
Yeah. I was like, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan.
Sure.
but I'm just a sports fan.
Yeah.
Like I'm like sports fan first.
You just want them all to have fun.
Yeah, I don't doubt. Like I'm like I'll wear like the referee's jersey to the game, you know, or like the NHL emblem. Like I don't, like I don't know who they drafted. You know, 2 weeks ago, the first pick. Like I have no idea who the Canadians took. Like I'm not into it that much.
No, yeah.
But I watch like every sport, like kind of religiously. I'm a big Olympics guy.
Yeah, man, same.
Like huge. Like I will put my life, like I'm doing no work during the Olympics because they all encompass me.
Well, don't you love becoming an expert on sports that you like maybe didn't even know existed a couple weeks ago?
I was looking up breakdancing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then like, watching the diving, like all of a sudden you know exactly how much splash is appropriate or allowed.
I love that like image of a guy like eating Cheetos and there was too much splash and what an idiot. You ruined that for your country.
Yeah.
Are you like me where it's like any country but the US you want to win?
Well, no, because I'm actually I'm a U.S. citizen.
Okay,
so so I'm a dual Canadian U.S. citizen. So no, that is not doing it. Although in the Olympics, I tend to gravitate more towards Canada.
Okay,
in the Olympics, like I do pick sides, but my mom's hometown is Lake Placid, New York.
1980.
There you go. Yeah, you know what's up.
I know. Yeah,
and the 80 Olympics were like very much they were put on by the community. So like my family, my grandmother was in charge of flowers for the Olympics.
That's
insane. Yeah, it was like
I love that.
It was like the community of Lake Placid was like hosting a cool convention for 2 weeks, and everyone in the town kind of like
that's great. That's when a small town could host a winter.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very much changed since then. But that was kind of the last Olympics that were like that. That were like a low key community event. I mean, it's still a big thing. It was still an international event, but it's gotten so out of control now. The scope of it is just huge, and so yeah. And so I mean, there are still people in Lake Placid. I mean, Lake Placid's a little mountain village of 5,000 people, and it's not on a highway. It's a quaint little spot, and there are always people in Lake Placid talking about trying to bring the Olympics back, but it's just the Olympics have just moved on from what they were. And that was 40.
The only thing that you could like maybe do is like just the mountain events at Placid, and then like New York City could host like the speed skating, the figure skating.
Yeah. And they've talked about like international games with like Lake Placid, Montreal. To Montreal's just a couple hours from there.
Oh, they do that. Yeah.
I mean, which would be great. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but because of that sort of background and my family on my mom's side, everyone's from Lake Placid. So yeah, Winter Olympics for sure. I've always been really into them and get psyched up. But summer as well, but winter more so.
There's just so much summer. Like there's so much Summer Olympics to digest.
Yeah.
Like it's just this huge, massive. Like you literally the Winter Olympics. Like younger Chad would watch every event in its entirety.
Sure.
Like from start to like it would take me about 2 or 3 weeks after the Olympics, but I eventually did it where I could watch every event in its entirety, which is insane.
So you would like even after the Olympics ended, you would still be like
I would still be watching it because I'd be like 7 days behind because I'm trying to watch every event. And I've done winter. You couldn't do it.
Summer's not possible.
You could. The next Olympics would start by the time you did the summer. But yeah, the winter is very. I actually went to the Winter Olympics in Vancouver.
Really?
I worked in the Athletes Village.
Awesome.
Best fucking time of my life.
Yeah.
Like literally the best time. Like my kid was born, she's number 2. It's Winter Olympics. Being there when like Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal.
Yeah.
Dude, I was in Whistler. Sidney Crosby's. I'm watching the gold medal final with the Sportsnet guys. So like RJ Broadhead, all those guys. They were done. It was the last event, so they were doing cross country skiing. They're done. And Sidney Crosby scores the golden goal. The bars just like flood into the streets, and Blue Rodeo starts playing. Out of nowhere. Like literally, somebody handed them insurance. They're just on somebody's porch.
They just manifested.
Dude, it was insane. It was insane. And then like 12 hours of partying. Like it was the greatest moment in my life. Like Blue Rodeo just broke into song.
Every time a bell rings, an eagle gets its wings, and every time Team Canada wins, Jim Cuddy just shows up.
It was what? And they weren't like there wasn't a stage. They were literally like on somebody's like overhang like porch in the middle of Whistler Village. Like it's crazy. It was crazy. It's the craziest day of my life. And like we went for dinner there's a few days before the gold medal game, we went for dinner at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and I was making good money now. It's village at the time. Probably couldn't afford it now. And in the restaurant was Wayne Gretzky, John Bon Jovi, Cindy Crawford. Yeah, this is insane.
Is that a Nickelback video?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was wild. Anyway, snack podcast. Let's try. So I wonder if I have anything international Olympic team. Let's dig in to the snack bag. Okay. This is not international, but I got these. They are Laura Secord butter and cream fudge. You don't have to eat everything. Let's do it. Yeah, Laura Secord. This was like a big popular chocolate chain when I was a kid.
Sure.
But it's kind of fallen off a little bit.
I mean, I don't pay much attention to the chocolate economy, but I haven't heard much of it lately. Yeah. I remember when I was growing up, my friend Robbie, we were talking about we're trying to name drop as you do on the schoolyard, and my friend Robbie said well, I don't think Laura Secord. And people were like, oh, like the chocolate lady? Like, nobody, she's a warrior. What are you talking about? No, Robbie, she's just a chocolate lady.
Yeah.
And he was really upset that we were not recognizing his long lost relative's greatness.
This is the richest thing I've ever eaten.
You have a medic standing by?
Oh my gosh, sure, I don't need my feet. This is wild.
This is Wilford Brimley.
Yeah. I did a show at Shea Potter's. Have you done Kai Shea Potter show?
Yeah.
Very fun show. And there was this guy front row looked identical to Wilford Brimley, and I just couldn't not say it at one point. I was like, "You look like Wilford Brimley." I get that all the time. He had this slow drawl too. Well, it was so funny.
So when Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon, I think.
Okay.
He was not that old. He was 46 years old.
But looked 80.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a Twitter feed called the Cocoon Line. Cocoon or Platoon? Which one is it?
I don't know. Yeah.
So there's a Twitter feed anyway, devoted to it's called we'll say Cocoon, the Cocoon Line, and it's the age at which other celebrities turn the same age that Wilford Brimley was.
Oh my God, I love it.
And so it'll be congratulations, Liga, Paul Rudd, looks like he's 22, and Wilford Brimley, who was an old-looking 47 at the time. It's kind of fascinating. It shows you how, some of the standards in Hollywood have changed over the past.
Well, that's just
40 years.
That's true. Just I love looking at Lanny McDonald.
I also love looking at Lanny McDonald.
Just stop. Never mind. But Lanny McDonald, when he won the cup, how old was Lanny? Lanny looks in his late 50s.
Yeah.
He's probably 36. Sure. When he won in Calgary. There's how people have changed. It's wow. We're even looking back at my mom's old high school yearbook. I'm these people look like they're 50 plus years old. Yeah, and they're graduating grade 12.
You see, I come across a reel every so often that'd be this is a high school class in 1987.
Yeah.
These people look like they've done some living.
People lived harder back then, though.
Complicated times.
Yeah. We were talking to a guy. We were filming at an airport today, and we were talking to a guy, and it's so funny. So the Brockville Airport, just this little tiny one runway, maybe two. One of them's just grass. This guy who worked there is clearly just the guy that he's always worked at the airport, and not a lot of people come to the airport. Okay. So we just went out there, and he just started instantly telling us old war stories.
On the Brockville,
basically the Brockville Airport. It was so funny, but just telling us how hard he used to live, and I was that's living hard, back in the day. We're talking about sports. You probably have one of the, I don't know, I'm gonna say a famous fan jersey.
Oh, yeah.
The baseline
95.
How did you come up with this? This is brilliant.
So, I mean, the 95 used to be the main bus route in Ottawa. It doesn't exist anymore because it got replaced by the LRT.
Okay, I know that.
So the 95 is the main workhorse bus route that went from Orleans to Nepean. So from the east end all the way across to the west end. And baseline was sort of its western terminus.
Yeah.
And so you would see all these buses going through downtown all day and night, just at Baseline 95 on them. And I lived near Baseline Station growing up, and so that bus was our connection to going downtown.
Yeah.
East End if we wanted to. I mean, it was a main lifeline for us and for anybody who lived in either the east or west suburbs of Ottawa. And so I was sitting with a buddy of mine at a Sens game a few years ago, my buddy Matt Salvatore, and we were joking about people were leaving early. And I was like, man, this is lame. People leave early. Like, you should get a Sens jersey and have beat the traffic on the back. Like, the name on the back. And then so we were talking about finding things to get on a Sens jersey, and one of us said it would be hilarious to get baseline 95 on a Sens jersey. We thought it was hilarious.
And I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, we like could not stop laughing at ourselves.
Yeah.
So, it should really be funny. Like, for a couple of years, like every so often, we joke around about getting this jersey, and then my wife texted me a couple years ago. She was at the Winners, and she was like, "There are Sens jerseys here, like brand new, decent Sens jerseys for like $20. Do you want me to get you one?" I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And so she bought me a jersey, and then I took it to a friend of mine who works at Sport Check, and I said, "I want you to put baseline 95 on this." And ladies, it kind of looked at me. I was like, "Yeah, no, do it." And so now, whenever I go to a game, I wear it, and almost every time when I come home, someone has taken like a paparazzi shot of me and posted it on like Twitter or wherever. Like people I don't know.
Dude, I want to Oleg. The record button didn't work, but we have audio through the camera, right?
Oh, maybe it did. It might have worked. I might have just stopped it and started it again. We're good.
All right.
It's supposed to be red. Like,
It's red now, but I don't know if I stopped it and started it again. Anyways, it's red right now. Anyways, yeah, it's good. I've seen like on my social media the jersey like in the wild.
Yeah.
Like not even like you're not tagged. They have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
And it's just like in baseline 95 in the wild.
Yeah. No, it's like people like come up to me and like ask for pictures with it and whatever. But then also some people will say like, "Oh, what does that mean?" And I explain it to people and just like blank looks.
How
like
do you not know that?
Some
Like you've
people are,
obviously like I like not from Ottawa, but I lived in Ottawa a little bit. Not a big, I wasn't a big bus guy, but I still see that bus everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's all.
Yeah,
over
it was the sort of workhorse. But yeah, I like that jersey because it's timeless. Like it's
Yeah.
and now that the 95 doesn't run anymore, it's sort of a an ode to the legend, and it's like an inside Ottawa joke. And I love it. I wear it every time I go to a game. I wear it, and it always gets some kind of reaction.
Do you have other jersey ideas that you would like to go or was that like the main one?
So it's funny, like Matt and I were saying, we were talking about getting a pair, like baseline 95 and Orleans 95.
That'd be the best. You guys sitting together.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
No, I haven't thought about any other ones. I maybe should, but baseline 95. It's treated me well,
dude. So. That's like a great idea. I'm sure there's like other sports cities that would. There's like a sport equivalence to bus routes, like the one to the stadium or something. Stuff like that.
I saw one. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons, famously collapsed in the Super Bowl, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. They were up 28-0 and they lost. And I saw a guy with a Falcons jersey, and the name is "We were up by," and then the number is 28.
Oh yeah,
which
that's
is like
so
pretty
great.
Yeah.
Let's continue on with the snacks.
Yeah.
These get I don't know wilder and wilder sometimes. This is called Crunky Crunch chocolate. I have no idea where it's from.
Do you know? Okay, I was going to say, do you know what language that is?
I don't.
Is that just cursive?
It's just cursive. Nah, that's a joke of mine. Yeah, that joke does so well, and it's
great.
Like a little throwaway joke. Like
what's nice about that joke is like it doesn't require much in the way of setup.
No,
you can put it in anywhere. Like so, if you're hosting, you can do it like right before you bring somebody up.
Yeah.
If, like you need a little bit of a placeholder. Like it's a concise joke that I've only ever seen it work. I haven't seen it not work, and it can go in anywhere. It's great.
Yeah, I just use it now. I was like closing with it, but it's now just become like I need some momentum.
Yeah.
Like let's throw it in. I need a little bit of juice here. I don't know what that language is. I don't know. I'm kind of assuming it's Japanese. This because it just like the look of the chocolate bar.
Sure.
Of the Crunky. What do you think, Oleg?
Do you hold that up to a camera to?
Yeah. Oh, they're not what I expected.
Ooh, individually wrapped.
I like this. Latte. That's the name of the company. Okay, I'm getting that this is going to be was it Crispy Crunch?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, just like
it's Crispy Crunch.
Yeah.
Want to try, Oleg?
is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as exotic as it looks.
No.
much like me, despite the fact that I look very dangerous and exotic and international. I go down smooth.
Yeah, this is good. Like,
where do you find this stuff?
Secrets. It's all secrets. Sometimes I like order boxes, and they'll just be like, "We're just gonna send you 20 random snacks from around the world."
Wait, like secrets? Is that a business, or are you saying it's a secret? Okay,
they come from all over the spot. Like anywhere, like I'm a place and I find something, you know, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of those stores. It's kind of like a thing now. You know, just weird chocolate and candy from around the world.
Does your daughter like candy?
Oh my God, yeah. She's like a little chocolate fiend. Okay. Like she's like me. Like I'll like skip dinner and go to Tim Hortons and just get 3 chocolate chip cookies, and that'll be my dinner. Like I'm like a child when a lot of it. Like I'm a terrible eater, and I'm a big like brownies, cookies,
right,
cake, like anything like that. Yeah.
See, my problem is I used to race triathlons. I used to do triathlons.
Right.
And I don't anymore, but I still eat like I do. So that's a problem. I didn't like adjust my diet in terms of like caloric intake. And
you're taking in more calories.
Eat whatever I wanted with impunity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it didn't quite. I mean, I'm still relatively active, but like not the way I was when I was doing that stuff. What
was like your sport growing up? Was it hockey?
Hockey. Yeah. I mean, I was never like, I'm not naturally athletic. So I was like not, I was never like identified as like an athlete, but like hockey was the sport that I played the most and loved. And
would you play to?
Just like, I don't know, pee-wee, maybe like 13, 14. Like I didn't play. I wasn't old when I played.
Right. Yeah.
But then, it's fun. Like, I coach my son's teams now. So
nice.
like I've been like in the past, 3 years, I've been on the ice more than I was in the past, like
that's fun.
25 years. For sure.
Yeah. What's your son playing?
So he just plays house league hockey.
But just hockey? Or
hockey and baseball.
Baseball. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Are they like, it's not like coach pitch anymore because they're
No, it was. It's funny. It was coach pitch. So starting this year it wasn't, but the last couple years were coach pitch. Last year it was coach pitch, but we had strikeouts. So like you could strike out. So
your own kid?
I struck my son out. Yeah, a couple times. Which is
that's actually so like, funny. Hey, you don't make your bed, I'm striking you.
Yeah, exactly. Like stare him down as he walks off. And so I'm working on a joke about that because it is like this idea of like
that's a great joke.
Challenging for dominance in the house. And,
that's a great premise. Like you like shake off the coach pitch pitcher and throw him the heat or something.
I had a hard time though as like coach pitch pitching to like 7 and 8 year olds. It can be tough because you want the pitch to get across the plate. Can't be too fast. Can't be too slow.
Can't be too high.
Yeah, exactly. And the catcher is also 7 or 8 years old. So it's like there were times where I was up there and I would be like all over the place, like missing the strike zone wildly and like stressful. There were absolutely stressful moments I had on the mound pitching to 7-year-olds.
I love this.
And I like a couple times I took myself out of the game. Like exactly. Go to the bullpen. Yeah.
We're going. Yeah.
Like, a couple times I looked right at the coaches.
We need the Dominican lefty to come in here.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't hang. I've lost my fastball.
Dude, that's so. Are you throwing overhand at that? Okay, I didn't know because like you could like really like lob it in, but your coach pitch baseball. Yeah.
But then also like you don't want to like. If a kid is really struggling and not able to hit it at all, you don't want to embarrass them by like just doing like a little like a soft underhand sort of thing. So it's a lot of dynamics to that, man. It's tricky.
There's some finesse to it.
Yeah. I'm glad those days are over.
Yeah. I don't coach anything with my kid. Like I'm just don't like people that do friggin' all the credit to them. Like that's awesome. I just don't think I have the patience for all the kids, or the patience for the parents.
That can
like
be tricky.
That's the like I see sometimes. I had a buddy who just like he was coaching his kids hockey team and just was like, I'm done like halfway through the year. I just don't want to deal with these parents like coming off and like, why did my kid play only this many minutes and the other kid is like, well, we're trying to get everybody the same.
We're having fun.
It doesn't work out all the time, like it's sometimes parents are the worst.
For sure.
So he's playing hockey and baseball. Yeah. What one does he like?
Hockey.
Yeah, same with my kid.
But baseball's really taken off for him this year in a way that I didn't expect. Like I was never an obsessive baseball fan growing up. I haven't like pushed baseball. I mean, I haven't pushed hockey on him either, but like,
Right.
I don't talk a lot of baseball, but he's really gotten into it this year. And then my daughter's into gymnastics. That's her,
Okay.
That's her big her sports thing, which I'm not involved. I don't have a gymnast physique.
No.
So I'm not so
Yeah.
much into that.
Yeah, my kid did gymnastics for a little bit. Now it's hockey. Hockey like all year round.
Yeah.
Like, which I don't love.
And she does the fighting too, though, right?
She does Muay Thai too. Yeah. Am I
not supposed to call it fighting? Is that does that
I'm
denigrate
cool
the
with
art?
it. I'm cool with it. Yeah, the art.
Yeah.
That's like when people say comedy. Thank you for sharing your art with me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you for
for
bringing
sharing
that to
your
the
art.
world.
I was like, that. What is artistic about what I just did in there? Like,
I think it is though. Like I know we sort of,
Yeah.
self-deprecating. We say, oh, it's not really art, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're creating something. We're trying to elicit an emotional reaction from people. Like
Yeah.
and the content isn't always serious.
No.
But I mean, I take the process seriously, and I know that you do as well. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of like putting thought into it and whatever. So I think, yeah, when people say like, oh, comedy's not really art, I'm inclined to think it is, even though, like I say, I know that we have to be self-deprecating and be dismissive of it. But yeah, I think it is.
my big thing is like always in life or anything, I don't like taking myself too seriously, and I don't like when people take themselves too
Sure.
seriously.
Yeah,
So
of
like that's
course.
always like when I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's art. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sometimes like I'll you go to the comedy club or you're at a comedy and there's somebody who's just like taking it way too seriously, and you're like, it's gonna be so much better for you if you just
Just bring it down a notch.
Bring it down a notch. We don't
yeah.
need to, you know what I mean? Because it is like the audience is gonna feel that, that you're taking it so serious.
I mean, when I first started, what I would do, and I still see people doing this when they start, I would basically like memorize a funny essay, like kind of write a clever essay, and then go up and basically recite it, which is not stand-up comedy, right?
No.
It's, being sort of a humorist, and so it took me a little while to figure out that that's not, not really how this works. But I still see a lot of people when they're just starting out, people do that very thing.
Yeah.
Like people who have like, every single word memorized, and they have a 6-minute set. So they have 6 minutes of talking memorized, like right down to the second. And like they go and they stand up there and they just like blow through the whole thing. Thank you. Good night.
I do the new comic show that you were on the last one where like people try stand up, but the last one we did, we had some comics who were doing stand up for like their third or fourth time. Yeah. And it was funny because like some of them I was like, hey, it's 5 minutes this set, and they're like, oh, I've only done 7. How am I going to pare it down? I was like, oh, I'd love that. Like that'd be so much easier. But I mean, we've been in the game for a while now, so we don't have our like, you can probably do up to your time. You could probably, if somebody's like, you're doing 13, which is like an awkward number, you could do 13 on the nose, right? Like I'm the same. Like I could just do it. Like I actually like, I don't know how much you plan out your set. I'm always like, just give me the light. Like when you and I have a minute joke that will finish me off. Like
I'm a little different. I tend to plan for time. Yeah. And tend to like, I try to have my sets sort of flow together and try to but I also leave myself a little room. Like if I don't hit the landing on my last joke, I do leave myself some wiggle room, but I do try to have it structured with not so much a narrative arc, but like, hey, here's the sort of stuff I want to do at the beginning. This will lead into that, and sort of go from there. So
you're talking on different themes. Like all mine are pretty much connected anyways. Like I kill my grandma off a couple times, and then I talk about belly buttons. Like that makes sense. That's all in the same.
That belly button joke is gross.
It is gross, but it honestly like it like I like it because like people are like, oh, this guy's not like, if I say anything else a little crazier in my set, they're like, oh yeah, he's not serious. You know what I mean? Like everything he says is bullshit. Like, and so I like that joke to like kind of set that tone of like, okay, he's just being ridiculous. Like he's not like, we don't have to take what he says as face value,
you can like, that sort of helps him get settled in and rely, like sort of get a sense of who you are.
Exactly.
It's funny you talk about killing your grandma. Like I've got my like main closing joke is about hanging out with my grandmother. And about how old she is, but she passed away a few months ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, no,
I was going to ask you about because she was in Vermont.
She's
right?
in Lake Placid. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Lake Placid. Yeah. And she was a week shy of her 105th birthday.
Oh, whoa.
Legendary.
Yeah.
And so now, like, I still sometimes tell the joke. Sometimes I just tell it normally. as if she's still with us. But then other times I'd set it up by talking about her having passed away. Although it's tough to start off a joke and being like, oh, so my grandmother passed away recently. Because that like sucks the air out of the room. But I'm playing around with it. I've gotten, I talk about how like it got to the point, like I loved my grandmother. I'm sad she's gone, but it got to the point where it was weird that someone like me had a grandmother. Like middle-aged men should not have grandmothers. It's a little unsettling. And so I address it that way. But it is kind of fun. Like when I tell the joke as if she's still around, it's like, oh, grandma lives on. And here at Absolute Comedy, grandma's still with us.
There's 140 people leaving tonight that think I still have a grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it hard for you to tell that joke the first time, like after she passed away?
No, you know what's funny is like we knew that sort of the end was near, and we knew that she was down to like, days or maybe even hours. And so there was a Wednesday night at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa where I was like, okay, like my grandmother probably will not be around another 24 hours. I want to like make sure I tell the joke tonight, like for sort of the last time with like grandma still. Yeah. And the joke, it's not like a sentimental thing. It's not like a tribute to her, but it's about hanging out with her and watching TV with an old person. And so like it was, that to me was sort of the one time that joke might have been poignant. Was like, I know this is the last time when she is still around, but no, like now when I tell it, it's just a question of like, now like I'm sort of a disassociated, desensitized comic. It's like, all right, what's going to get the bigger laugh here?
Yeah.
Like what's how is it going to be funnier? Is it funnier tonight if grandma's still around, or is it funnier tonight if she's if she's not?
I have the perfect grandma snack. Turkish delights.
Got any Werther's original in there?
Yeah. I should have pistachio Turkish delights. These are vegan. They're gluten-free, they're halal, they're kosher, they're all the things.
This is world peace in a
in
a candy.
In a little box of candy. I feel like these would be on my grandma's coffee table.
Sure.
For some reason, the box maybe. I don't know if they're going to be good. I like, first of all, Brazil nuts. Is that like, I didn't know if that was a bit or not.
Well, so I have told it as a joke, but yeah, no, I'm like deathly allergic to Brazil nuts.
There's I checked the ingredients.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I was gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. You might want to double check.
No, it's
the ingredients. Pistachios, all those are good.
Yeah. No, I didn't know I was allergic to Brazil nuts, and then I was at Bonnaroo. In 2004, I was at Bonnaroo with some friends, and we were sitting around the campsite, and someone was passing around some mixed nuts, and I like put some mixed nuts in my mouth, and like right away I could like feel my tongue start to swell. I was like, this is not cool. That's not what I envisioned.
This is not what I thought. This does not look like the front of the box. I guess it kind of does.
It doesn't really taste like anything.
Nothing. Not much. A little aftertaste, a little pistachio aftertaste. But like, you know what? Nanas always give the blandest candy.
It's true.
So it makes sense. It's kind of fine. Like, it's not awful.
Yeah.
But
it's more like I feel like it's more for the texture than the taste.
Texture's nice. I like it.
But yeah, so I was at Bonnaroo with some friends. Ate some mixed nuts. I was like, oh, something's wrong here. Like I feel my tongue start to swell immediately.
Like, try that.
So anyway, like I ended up in the like big medical like MASH unit tent with like hives from head to toe, my lips and tongue swelling. They gave me a shot of epinephrine. I felt like such a nerd though, because there were these people coming in there who were having these like crazy trips and just like having the most insane weekends of their lives. I'm like, oh, hey, it's some Brazil nuts. And so I had to spend the afternoon in the medical tent. They wouldn't let me leave in case like it flared up again. So I had to lie on a cot.
Could not hear anything.
Oh, this is the thing, is I could hear the music like drifting in the distance. So I could hear like my favorite bands in the world and like 70,000 people like and I was just lying there like cold and allergic on this cot. It was like when you're a kid and your parents put you to bed a little too early and you can hear the other kids like out playing on the street. That was my Bonnaroo experience.
Who's like, okay, let me try to guess some acts. 2004 Bonnaroo. Okay. Let me think who would be. I think the Black Eyed Peas, were they there? No. Okay. All right. 2004 was the guests who did the guests, Or The Who? Did The Who come back?
No. Boy, you're all over the place.
I'm all over. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like 2004.
So it was still pretty. So this was in the early days of Bonnaroo, and it was still very jam bandy. Like that was like
so it was like
the first few years.
Fish.
Yeah. So it was Trey from Fish was there. This is when
Okay.
So Trey from Fish was there. Dave Matthews Band, Neil Young. I went a couple years. So I'm getting the years probably. I'm conflating the years probably,
Right.
but. Jack Johnson, Ben Harper, Jurassic 5 as far as hip hop goes.
Yeah.
The Roots were there one of the years we were there.
amazing.
Allman Brothers Band. Pretty wild. I went 2 years in a row, but then after 2004 when I went, it was like a disaster. Like the weather was horrendous. I had this allergic reaction. It was just it was a bit of a
Manchester, Tennessee. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Manchester.
Okay.
I mean, still a great time, and like went with guys who are still like my best friends to this day. But it was the 2004 experience was not one to remember.
Is that like what's your favorite concert that you've ever been to? I just went to mine 2 months ago.
Really?
The best concert I've ever been to. But what's yours first?
It's the top of my head, probably seeing Fish at Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, my now wife and I were down there, and sort of a long story. We had tickets for one show. Tickets turned out to be fake. It was a whole a bit of a mess. But my buddy Mike, who lives in New York and does the Wall Street thing, he hooked us up with tickets for that Fish show, and it was
New Year's Eve.
It was insane. New Year's Eve, yeah.
Right. Down in that
it was wild.
insanity.
Yeah, and they they flew above the crowd on a giant hot dog, and it was big, theatrical, totally over the top. It was awesome.
They just did the Sphere.
Yeah.
I think. It was Grateful Dead was doing it, but then Fish came in and did a couple weeks.
Yeah,
at the Sphere.
so I mean, U2 was the first band.
Yeah.
U2 did their residency, and then Fish did 4 nights.
Okay.
They certainly had the demand to do many more, but they did not want to repeat anything. So they didn't repeat any songs. They didn't repeat any visuals. They did 4 completely distinct nights.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it was an impossible ticket. Tickets on the secondary market were just insane.
I did look for it just because I want to go to the Sphere. NHL draft.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I was like, that's probably the most affordable ticket you're going to get at the Sphere in the first 5 years of the Sphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is something like that. You're going to, and it looked cool. It looked awesome just to see the venue. Emil went to the Sphere. Have you talked to Emil?
Yes, he did. He went to U2, right?
Yeah, U2. Yeah. I'm not a U2. U2 is just fine by me.
Yeah, I'm same.
I've never been to Madison Square Garden, but I'm going there in 2 weeks.
Oh, right. You're going for Kill Tony?
Kill Tony. Yeah.
So we got a little off track. You were saying you just went to your best show ever.
New York City.
Yeah.
Actually, MetLife Stadium, so Jersey.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones.
Yes, sir.
Holy shit, Hart. This fucking guy, 81 years old or whatever, is I was I've always wanted to see the Rolling Stones. When they did SARS Fest and stuff, I was too young. I wasn't I'm 36, so I was probably 11, too young to go to a music festival when that happened. And so this is my last chance to see them. It's probably not going to be amazing, and it blew me away.
Yeah,
blew me away. The visuals of the show, the crowd was insane. You know who's sitting in my section?
I do not.
This is funny and completely off topic, but Proud Boys founder Gavin McGuinness.
Oh, no way!
He's
fellow
right there.
Canadian comedian.
But Canadian comedian. I know. I would have.
Right?
I would have I don't agree with
right.
Gavin McGuinness at all, and but I would have just said hey, I'm from Ottawa. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or something it's funny because the only time I've ever listened to his podcast was the day after the concert just to verify it was him.
Yeah.
And he talked. He was. You know what he said? He's went to the Rolling Stones last night. Incredible show. Saw 2 people wearing a mask. And I was you can't. The guy cannot chill. The guy had
60,000 people there, and he's focusing on the 2 people who were wearing something he didn't like.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? Right. Who thinks like that?
Yeah. Well, that's his brand, right? That's how he.
Yeah,
that's how he
it's not real. All those guys aren't real, right?
Yeah. They're playing characters.
They're all in character. I don't believe a thing half of them say, and I don't think they believe a thing half of them say. There's probably a couple of them that are completely, but a lot of them is okay, they're just kind of smart business people in a way.
It's a hustle, man.
Yeah,
it's a hustle.
Yeah.
The dangers isn't the people who totally buy into everything they say without filtering it. But it's funny. I saw the Stones in New York as well. Actually, my friend Mike, who I just said hooked us up with Fish tickets, he gave me a call about 10 years ago and said, hey, the Stones are coming to Brooklyn when the new arena opened up in Brooklyn. He said, do you want to come down and see them? I said, absolutely. So I went down, like spent an afternoon cruising around Manhattan with him. And then we, took the subway, went to the show. So we're at the show and I had a similar experience to you. It was just like mind blowing. Like, how does this guy still have it?
Yeah. What year is
It was
this?
just fantastic. This was in 2012, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So Charlie Watts was still there. Like I played the drums growing up. So like Charlie Watts is my guy. And so it was a fantastic show. And halfway through the show, I'm kind of wide eyed. I'm this, guy from Ottawa who's down like in Brooklyn seeing the Rolling Stones. It's a pretty exciting, big cultural moment for me. And like, so I'm like kind of dancing, getting into it. And halfway through the show, Mike leans over to me. He goes, "So what do you want to do tonight?" Like, what do I want to do tonight?
Yeah.
Is this not what we're doing tonight?
Yeah.
Like, is this like just the start of it? But that was, he at that point was like, a 30-year-old guy on Wall Street, like living the life, doing the thing. And so like, every night was like a crazy adventure. So, but yeah, that was a brilliant show.
Dude, I love New York so much.
Yeah,
I'm going down a few days early than the other people. I'm going just to like tour around and do my own thing. I love just like,
you gonna try to go to the Cellar or anything?
Yeah, I'll probably hit a show there. I should probably look at getting tickets now. I looked like a couple weeks ago and they weren't out yet. I don't know how much in advance they put them out. Is it 2 weeks or something? I
think probably around that. And I think they all sell out like, at least a few days in advance. They're always sold out.
Oh yeah. Wednesday night I have like nothing, and that's probably like the better night to try to get tickets anyways. But usually I go to the Cellar. I went to the Cellar not the last time when I went for the Rolling Stones, but the time before, and I went to the Sunday Night Late Show, like where Dave Attell headlines, and I had to piss so bad. I'm not a big drinker, but I had like 2 drinks when I was there, which is like enough to just set my bladder on fire. Like I need to go. And Dave Attell's like just doing so much. It's the last show of the night. He's just gonna do whatever he wants, like a half hour, and he's like 15 minutes, and I'm like dying, like I got a piece of bad. So I get up from my seat. I'm like, not in the front row, and he goes, "Where are you going, you Jonah Hill looking motherfucker?" And I was like, Dave Attell, yeah. Oh my god, he made fun of me. He made fun of me. Yeah, it was great. I love your fucking olive tree story. Let's grab a snack.
Sure,
and we'll do that. Okay, we're getting a weird one here. Another weird.
We're getting a weird one.
This is a gummy dipper.
Whoa!
It's Gummy Worms, and then like I don't even know, a sour candy gel.
So it's like Dunkaroos, except you're dipping gummy worms in
gummy worms. I figured you had kids.
Yeah.
So you can look at this.
No. Okay. Do not serve this to your 2-year-old.
Yeah. Okay. Like what 2-year-old? Are people giving 2-year-olds gummy dippers?
Probably.
You know what? Probably.
Not in Brockville. That's more of a Smiths Falls thing. It's getting ready for the show tonight. Working on my local references.
We just give kids 2 liters of Mountain Dew here. I'll take that one.
Look at this.
This is
nuclear.
Look at this.
This is really.
Dipper. I pull out all the stops for you, Hart.
I appreciate that.
I don't hate that. That's the best candy I've had so far. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Whew. Definitely sour there. Those
there's some sour, but I like that.
I'm gonna dip the other end. I'm not double dipping.
Yeah.
Doing the paddle dip, kayak styles.
What were we talking about? Oh, your
Cellar
olive tree story.
So upstairs from the Comedy Cellar. I mean, you know this, but there's this restaurant, the Olive Tree Cafe, and the Comedy Cellar, which is like the main comedy club in New York. It has no green room, and so they just use the Olive Tree. The restaurant upstairs is the green room. And so I was in New York City with my family last year on spring break, and one night my wife said, "Look, I know you kind of want to go to the Cellar. Why don't you go? Like, I'll hang out with the kids. Like, we're having a great vacation. You go. Like, I know this is something you want to do. Like, go check out the Cellar." I was like, "Awesome. I love you. Thank you." So I go to the Cellar. Couldn't get into the show, any of the shows that night. I tried like doing standby, whatever. Could not get in. So I said, well, I might as well like hang out in the Olive Tree for a little bit and see who's around. And so I go into the Olive Tree, and it's not a big bar. Like there's, like a long bar and a bunch of tables, but like it's not a big place. There were like, I don't know, maybe a dozen people in there, and of the dozen people in there, probably 7 of them had Netflix specials. It was crazy. And so I was like talking, there's another like civilian sitting beside me at the bar, and we were talking about our favorite comics, and I was like, I can't believe the people who are in here. I said, actually, one of my favorite comics right now is this Canadian comic named Phil Hanley, and I looked and he's actually sitting right over there.
And so I chatted with him for a bit, which was super cool. And then I went back to the bar and I was sitting down, and the guy was next to you said, "Don't look now," but like Chris Rock just sat down behind us, and like sure enough, he was like,
Oh, whoa.
he had like just popped in to do a spot at the cellar downstairs, and so he like was hanging out in the olive tree, and we went downstairs and he did like, I don't know, like 30-35 minutes, and we could watch. They have TVs, you can't hear, but we could watch him doing his set.
Right.
And then he came back up, and so I chatted with him very briefly on his way back through, but it was crazy. Like in the time I was in there for an hour and a half, like Chris Rock was there, Andrew Schultz, Dan Soder, Jessica Curson, Phil Hanley. Like it was like the list goes on. It was and like in a bar that was mostly empty and nobody. I mean, we're comedy nerds, so like that means something to us. But like a lot of those names to the general public, aside from Chris Rock, people might not carry a lot of weight. But for me, as I was shamelessly, I will say I was totally starstruck. And it was awesome.
Chris Rock, good dude.
Yeah, I mean, very brief interaction, but like, he gave me the time of day, and I said, I'm, a comic from Canada. He's like, "Oh, that's great. It's great to meet you." I said, "Can we get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, man, of course." Like, he was very, very friendly, and this was a couple months after the Oscars thing. I did not didn't mention that at all, but I wondered if he was maybe, still like.
He's probably getting ready for that live Netflix special.
Yeah, exactly.
That he put out, which was pretty good. Like that's kind of created a boom of obviously there was a comedy Netflix boom, but the boom of now everybody's I heard doing these live, which nobody's ever really done live stand-up comedy specials. It's always been, which doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? It's always been
I'm sorry, you're saying.
Yeah, it's always been taped.
Well, usually people will tape it twice, right? And cut together what works the best and edit the crowd shot. So it's like a brave thing to do a special live. I mean, I guess by the time you're doing a special, you've got the stuff so locked down that you could do it in your sleep. But even still, you don't know what kind of crowd you're going to be dealing with.
Exactly.
You're putting a lot of trust in a lot of things which could be beyond your control to do your special live.
What's the best special you've seen lately?
Best special I've seen lately. So my favorite one of the past couple years, I mean, this is going back a little bit, but Phil Hanley's Ooh La La.
Canadian, you said?
He is Canadian, yeah. Are you not familiar?
I know the name. I think you brought the name up to me before, but
he does a lot of crowd work, but not he's not exclusively that, but that's sort of how he's building his following.
Okay.
But he has a special on Netflix called Ooh La La that he filmed at the Cellar. You can't tell it's at the Cellar because he put a background in.
Right.
But it's awesome. It's 45 minutes. He weaves in and out of crowd work. It's his jokes are really tight, really sharp, weaves in and out of the crowd work really well. So that's fantastic. Dan Soder's new special.
So good.
Awesome.
So good. Yeah. His new special is great.
Yeah.
One of the best I've seen. David Tell's too.
Yes, David Tell's with the hot cross buns.
Oh yeah. Do you know the story of the end of that, where he's his special was only they wanted it to be 45 minutes or whatever, Netflix, and he only had 37.
So that was very.
So he just the recorder for 6 minutes at the end to so they got the full 45, because their algorithm showed that if it said 45 minutes, when people were more apt to click into it. Right? So he just did that at the end. Yeah.
He's so good, man. I mean, I sometimes people if they have short jokes, I don't always have the stamina to stick with it for longer than 15-20 minutes, but he's just such a master.
So great.
And you know what else is specials from the past year? Kyle Brownrigg special, Liability. Got to get a little.
I was there the night it was recorded.
Yes, I was there as well. Over a weekend at Absolute.
Yeah. He did it on a Friday. I think I opened for him the Wednesday, Thursday, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Just to open for him, see him kind of and then talk, just hear him talk in the green room. Not I was giving him anything, but and then execute on Friday.
Yeah. No, exact same. Yeah. I was there on Sunday. He recorded all weekend. So I was there on the Sunday. Yeah. And sort of see a little bit how the sausages are made. And I was chatting with the sound guy, Dean Watson, who does a lot of records a lot of the comedy albums when people records them in Ottawa. Talked to him about his strategy for recording and how you're going to get the crowd. And I mean, I'm such a nerd for anything comedy related, and like I said, shamelessly so. So for me to be an opener part of the show when someone was recording a special was fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And it was.
Are you in any of the
cool.
competitions this year?
I'm in the Yucks one.
Okay.
Not the absolute one. I wasn't available for the whole thing.
Right,
but
right.
I'm in the Yucks one.
Yeah. I'm in the absolute one,
Yeah.
so we don't get to battle. Look at this, dude. This is Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Man, candy cane
Wow.
caramel fudge sparkling drink. Candy can. Sorry.
Wow.
Caramel fudge. I don't know. Like, whew,
Whoa, no sugar in this.
no sugar and only 3 calories.
What? No, I wasn't reading this to like, ooh, can I put this in the temple? I was just like, I was curious.
In the temple. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
Isn't that? This is the weird. I mean, the Wonka brand, you'd think it'd be bigger, you know?
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to sparkling beverages. Okay, I hate the smell. Hate it.
I mean,
Caramel.
caramel fudge, sparkling caramel fudge. You know what?
It nailed it.
Exactly.
It is
yes,
sparkling.
It tastes like it sounds.
Caramel fudge. Caramel or caramel? My mom says caramel.
I say caramel.
Yeah, but she's from the Ottawa Valley. So
Well, there it is.
that's it, right?
Those crazy folks back there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine I'll finish this, but
No, it is sweet without being sweet, you know? Like me. It's
do you have any favorite specials from the past little while?
that David Tell one. Dan Soder's really good. What else have I seen that I really liked? John Mulaney's.
Yes, Baby J was great.
So good. When I loved how he had that moment with like the 11-year-old in the crowd or whatever. He's like, "What are you doing here?"
You know what's
Like,
funny is that so I saw him in Ottawa when he was working that hour, and he did the same thing in Ottawa. Like, so he had like he picked out like a young kid in the crowd and sort of had them as like
who's
some of the.
bringing 11-year-olds to stand-up comedy?
You wonder, yeah.
Have you ever been at a Yuck Yucks when there's like a 12-year-old in the crowd?
No.
It's wild.
No.
It changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I did a show in Montreal recently where there was like a kid younger than my daughter. She's 9.
Really?
In the crowd, they were like, couple shows up. They're like, we couldn't get a babysitter. We wanted to come to a show. It was at like a nice venue. It was like a pretty good lineup. And the venue was like, no. And they're like, please, we bought the tickets.
Right.
Like, you know, she's just gonna, and they're like, okay. But like everybody saw that kid in the room.
Yeah.
Like the audience. So if you said anything that was like remotely not kid friendly, they're now watching it through the kid's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, so it changes like the dynamic
Totally.
of the whole show. Like
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I've seen Howard letting like kids like into, you know, where, well, you know what? One time I saw it was like a 16-year-old, maybe 15, and he's like, I just really want to do comedy. Like, I'm
Sure.
just really interested. And they're like, okay, yeah, you can't, you know, he was there with his parents, and they were like, yeah, sure, let's go to the comedy club, and you can see, you know, what it's like if it's something you want to do. So like that one was fine, you know,
Right.
but yeah, I've been there when it's.
I was producing a show once, and someone reached out and said, hey, can we bring our kids are like 12 and 13, can we
Yeah.
bring our kids? And I checked with the venue, and like there was no issue with the license or whatever. So I said, yeah, like I guess it's okay. But I gave the other comics a heads up, and they ended up not bringing them, but I gave the other comics a heads up just because I didn't
that's
want
fair.
anyone to get up there. And it was a clean-ish show anyway.
Yeah.
But I didn't want anyone to get up there and be sort of weirded out.
Yeah, it is. It's a little disarm. Like it's a little makes you think a little bit. Like when you're up there, you're like, oh, like, am I gonna look like the bad guy? Because
Yeah.
now this joke that normally does well and everybody's funny, now I'm looking like a bad guy.
Well,
you know?
it's something that's just like that's a little bit off about the show, right? It'd
Right.
be like if someone had, like if someone was sitting in the front row with a cat on their lap. You'd be like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's like
you could have fun with that.
that's not
Yeah.
hurting anybody, but like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a little bit weird. Like I'm kind of
Yeah.
I one time at Absolute was doing a set, and there was a woman knitting in the front row. The woman was like knitting a scarf.
That
in
would
the
drive
front
me
row.
insane.
So I didn't notice it until halfway through,
Right.
but then I addressed it, and like it, obviously that's like a crowd work goldmine.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah,
doing
yeah.
something
Yeah, that's fine.
that absurd,
Yeah.
and it became a running joke
Yeah.
for like the rest of the show. Everyone else was able to play around with it, but
Yeah.
one thing that does throw me off in the crowd is if I see a friend of mine in the crowd that I didn't know was
No, I
going to
don't
be
love
there.
that.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for the support, and I appreciate if people want to come out. That's fantastic. And then people say, "Oh, I didn't want to tell you I was coming
Yeah.
because I didn't want to make you nervous."
Yeah.
But it always like it does throw me off just a little bit. And
Yeah.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, but if anyone listening to this is wondering if they should tell their comic friends whether or
Yeah.
not they're going to be there, always tell the people.
Always. And then sit as far back as you possibly humanly can. You do not need to be in the first 3 rows to see your friend.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you go so far. We're doing my Brockville show tonight, the town I live in, and my hometown show. I fucking hate it sometimes because I know everyone. So I can't bullshit anyone in the crowd.
Yeah,
like I'm going to try some new jokes tonight. Clearly not real stuff, and everybody knows it as soon as I'm getting into it, so that's like tough.
Well, you have a joke about that, right? About trying
I did that joke there once because like literally I was like, I was on a date one night and my buddy at the back of the room was like, no you weren't.
that was a buddy of yours.
Which was funny. It was funny. It was good.
Yeah.
Like I had that relationship, you know what I mean? Like it gave me actually like a good opening joke for my set.
Sure.
So it's it's perfect. We only got a couple minutes left and I have one more snack. It's the most excited one I'm trying.
Did we just get the light?
We got the light, yeah.
All right.
Dude, I'm excited. I don't know. Okay, so Kit Kat.
Whoa.
This is too chocolate. This is too sweet, these snacks this time. I don't know what I did. Kit Kat is my favorite chocolate bar by far, and they've been releasing these like limited edition kind of like mashup brands. Okay. It would be like Eminem and Jay-Z when they put out a single together. You know what I mean? This is drumstick.
This is the N-words in Paris of...
Yeah, this is it.
Says okay.
That's what it says, yeah. It is drumstick Kit Kat.
Kit Kats in Brockville.
Yeah.
All right. It's funny, last night in the grocery store, my son saw Oreo Kit Kats and got super excited.
Oh, yeah, those ones are great.
I told him to get a job. This shit cray.
They're so good.
See what I did there?
No, so you just lost 15 years off your age there. How old are you?
I'm 43.
Okay. Yeah, you look great for 43.
I'm moisturized.
You do? I Bill Burr says to moisturize.
There you go.
I do all the time.
This is good. This actually might be the best.
This is the best thing we've had.
Yeah.
Oleg is the rest. I mean, I'm like my sugar gone through the roof.
I don't want to chew this crunchy thing right in the mic.
You're fine. Hart, that's our podcast. Thanks so much for trying snacks with me. It was super fun.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Chatting and catching up and eating stuff.
Now we're going
Hart
to go
Shouldice.
do a show together.
Check them out. We're going to go do some comedy. I'll post your socials here. This is where they'll be. Right here. It's Hart Shouldice.
Right on, brother. Cheers.